Hi guys, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for being here. So today I'm going to do a video that shows you how I build up my page. This is Bristol paper and I purchased a book and then I just ripped out each page. And I really love Bristol paper because the paints don't sink into the fiber of the paper, and so it kind of tends to sit on top of it, which just gives it a really kind of a raw and unfinished look. Now, I don't have a specific technique where I approach all of my pages in exactly the same way. Sometimes I lay down pencil first. Sometimes I might want to add some inks. And over here, you can see I have used a stencil, and I think I used acrylic paint with a stencil, and so I let it completely dry. This is probably some inks over here, and this is a Lyra pencil, and I'm just gonna kind of make some marks over here. I just want some interest, so all I'm doing is just making some marks. I'm not really kind of thinking too much about what I'm gonna place on top of this or any of that stuff. So what I find is that when I want to think about what I want to keep going into the next layer, so say this is my first layer and I let it completely dry. So I'm going to go, what do I want to keep in this layer, from this layer, sorry, and carry it over into my second layer, because obviously with each layer, some of the page gets covered up. So right now I'm just kind of just making some marks over here. I want some visual interest. And like I said in my previous video, for my early stages, I'm really not thinking too much about what kind of the end product is going to be, what the end page is going to look like. I have no idea. Now, if you do, that's totally fine. A lot of people, like, everybody works differently. So a lot of people, they go, okay, this is what I want to paint or draw, and then they just go ahead and do it. So I'm not like that. I just kind of want the page to kind of dictate where it wants to go next. I want to let the page lead me, if you will. Now, I'm going to use a viewfinder, which is just a really fancy way of saying that um, uh, basically a viewfinder is just, I took a piece of white paper, I cut a window into it, and I'm going to look at the pieces of my painting that I really like. So this piece of paper should be white. It shouldn't be any other color, because if you have another color, it's going to distort the colors that you're looking at through the viewfinder. So I'm looking here, and what I'm seeing is I really love this kind of line over here. So I love all these lines here. I love the pink pattern next to this black pattern. And I'm just going to kind of look at my painting to see what appeals to me visually. So I really love this kind of icky charcoaly stuff here, juxtaposed next to this bright pop of pink. I love that contrast, so I really love that. And basically for me, there are three things that I want to carry over into my next layer. What I'm looking for is beauty, and of course that's very subjective, but what is beautiful to me? Like, this here is really beautiful to me. I just love the pink, the pop of pink. I love the pattern over here. I love these marks, very expressive black marks here. So to me, that's beautiful. So I want to carry that over. Now, the second thing I want to carry over is I really love ugly. And to me, ugly is really beautiful. There's so much beauty in ugly. And that's also very subjective, of course, what's ugly, but there's so much of beauty in what's ugly. And ugly is really, really interesting. Ugly is powerful, it's raw, it's real, it's interesting to me. So I want to carry over ugly. And so I really love that kind of, I don't know, it's just a pretty, it's not pretty actually, it's really ugly, but it's because it's ugly, it's pretty to me, it's beautiful. So I really love this part here. It's got that kind of raw vibe to it, and so I want to keep that. So I can see how much of it I want to keep. I can just kind of move it like this. Do I want to keep this much? Do I want to keep that much? Or even more? It can extend beyond the viewfinder, but this is a really helpful tool for me to use. And the third thing I want to carry over into my next layer are things that I'm kind of maybe sitting on the fence about, things I'm uncertain about. So maybe, say for instance, this part over here. It's not beautiful and it's not ugly. It's just kind of like there, you know, it's just sitting there. But I never know what it might turn into. I'm unsure about it. I do like the pops of green over there. I do like, let me see here. Yeah, so I like it more like that, I guess. So I like those pops of green. So the parts I'm going to keep this over here. I absolutely love this. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that. And I'm going to keep that. Now I'm probably going to keep other parts as well. But now I also know what I don't want to keep. So I don't want to keep that part over there. I don't think I want to keep that. And it's just a tool that helps me to kind of see things a little more clearly. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to use my chalk paint, and I think I'm going to use the Cashew Waverly chalk paint. And I picked out some colors off the side here on my palette, and I picked a red, an orange, and a blue, and a gold. So I'm just going to kind of see what happens here. So I have this really beautiful red, and it's still pretty transparent. I want the transparency of it for right now, but because I pulled out my chalk paint, that's going to make it opaque. So for right now, this first part, I just want it to be translucent. So now I mixed my red and orange together, and let's see what we can come up with here. And I love using my finger and just making some gorgeous patterns. And I never know what's gonna happen. Let me see, smush that over there. Ooh, that's beautiful. That, oh my God, look at that color. That is really pretty. That came from mixing my orange and red. So now I want to keep this over here, but I can kind of add some red down here. go. And some red over here. So there is a saying in Buddhism that goes something like this. It goes like this. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are none. And I really try to bring that approach to my canvas because I want to approach the page with a beginner's mind. And what that means to me is I want to come to my art with a sense of possibility and openness. So that means that I have to try to balance between having childlike energy on one hand and then try to also utilize the skills and knowledge that I have on the other hand. And this works well in life too, and I'm working on that. That's a little bit more difficult, but I'm working on that one. Okay, so let's see here. I don't want to let go of this red. It's just really gorgeous. I just love it. I can swim in this red forever and ever. So that changes the look of the page, me just bringing that red onto the page. It really changes the look of it. So now I'm gonna bring in some of my blue. And this blue is kind of an ultramarine kind of a blue, which I tend to gravitate towards. And I'm just gonna kind of put some dots over there. Kind of smush it around over there. Still not really thinking about anything too much. Just playing, having fun. Now this gold is, I do believe it is a Primo Textile. So maybe it's for textiles, but I really love it. And it just has a lush quality to it that really pops. And I'm just gonna kind of go like that. And I try to repeat all my patterns and colors at least 3 times. And I learned this a long time ago when I took a class. It's like if you repeat your colors, your patterns, your marks at least 3 times, it just gives your page a sense of movement. So when somebody is looking at your art, it moves the eye around the piece. So it's not static because your eye is going to be drawn to pattern and repetition. So it's just a good way to kind of keep the eye moving across the page. So the piece of art is just more alive. So now I'm going to pull out my viewfinder again. Now none of this is dry and I'm not going to use my heating tool. I do have a heating tool and I do use it quite a bit, but it's convenient, but it also tends to flatten out the paints sometimes, and sometimes I don't want that. I don't want that effect. So now I really, really love that. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. Not liking that so much, but I'm really loving that part. And I'm of course loving this over here. I still love this charcoaly piece, and I'm loving all this over here. So we just keep on building up the page. This over here is a charcoal pencil. It is General's charcoal, and I will rate these all these supplies down below in my description. I will, when I post the video, I will make sure to write these down. So I'm just kind of making some marks over here, and there we go. I also have this Portfolio water soluble oil pastel. I don't know how they made it because it's an oil pastel, so I'm not sure how they made it water soluble, but it is so gorgeous and it works like a dream, as you can see here. I just dip it in water. You can use it wet or dry, and it's portable, it's cheap, the colors are absolutely delicious, and I absolutely love it. So it's like a win-win-win-win all around. And so I'm gonna move some of this orange over here, and you can make really expressive marks with this oil pastel here. Just kind of cover up some of that pink. And dragging it through the charcoal. So that's going to kind of give it another effect as well. And because it's water soluble, it can be opaque or it can be transparent. It depends on how you use it. If you use it dry, it's going to be opaque. If you use it wet, then it's most likely going to be transparent. So, and that's another thing I love about these oil pastels. See, like over here, you can still see the line underneath. You can see all those lines underneath, which I really love. But there are times when you may want it to be opaque. You want to just cover everything up, and that's a great thing about these pastels. Okay, smush it up there. And now I want to use my chalk paint a little bit. So I'm just going to dip my finger in this chalk paint. And you can buy this chalk paint really at any craft store. And actually, I have found it at Walmart in the craft section. And it's just, I love it. My two favorite colors, actually the only colors I use, are the ink, which is a really rich black, and a cashew, which is not white. It's just a really rich, creamy, almondy color. So I really love that. So I'm just going to kind of use my paintbrush here and kind of build up some opaque parts to this page. And make some patterns maybe. Now, I'm not digging this gold over here. I don't know why, but I'm really not really feeling it. So I need to get rid of it. I want to get rid of it. So I'm just going to kind of put some solid red. So remember what I said about repeating a pattern? So I have this pattern over here. Now I think I'm just going to repeat it over here and over here. And now I don't have too many blues or cools in this painting yet, and I need to bring in some more of the blues. Okay, let me see here. Okay, I think I'm gonna bring some in there. Okay, now I am looking at my painting through the viewfinder again, and I'm trying to see, okay, what do I like? I don't think I like that right there, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to go over it with my reddish orange here, which I love this reddish orange. It's just absolutely delicious. And just kind of smush it in like that. Now, let's see here. Okay, so now I'm going to take the charcoal pencil again and just kind of see. Here we go. Just make some marks. And just have some fun. Let's see, right over here, I think. So I use that rule for everything really. So I'm going to repeat. See, I did that, and then I did that, and now I'm going to do another one. And this repetition really kind of keeps things moving, keeps your eye moving when you're looking at the page. So I am going to let this completely dry, and I wanted to show you a few other backgrounds or layers that I've already completed. So I'm just going to move this off to the side here. And see, again, I would use my viewfinder and I would try to figure out, okay, what do I really, really love? I love that right away. That just really pops out to me. And I love that kind of gold on the blue right there. And I'm loving that part. So I just use my viewfinder to see what parts I love and what parts I'm going to cover up. So that's another probably 2 layers in, maybe, I'm thinking. I think this is just 1 layer in. And see, right off the bat, I love that. I absolutely love that. So I would keep that, and I would keep that. that's kind of iffy, so I would keep that.